What's up, sports fans and wrestling collectors? This is Tom from CollectAWrestlePalooza. Today, I am excited to be doing a top 5 video focused on the professional wrestling GOAT, Hulk Hogan. This is the top 5 prices paid at eBay auction for Hulk Hogan memorabilia. The last time I did a Hulk Hogan specific list was back in June, and he had just spoken at the Republican National Convention. At the time, I speculated that his prices would start to rise because he was coming back into relevance. Let's see if that actually happened. Let's count down the top 5 prices paid for Hulk Hogan items at auction.
CollectAWrestlePalooza. CollectAWrestlePalooza.
Before we get started, let's go over the criteria for this video. For an item to be included, it has to be an eBay auction. I only look at eBay auctions because that's the biggest auction house, and I feel that auctions are the true market for wrestling collectibles. Buy it now and best offer type listings can be flashes in the pan, and also you can't tell if the buyer actually paid for the item. I like to focus on auctions that have a lot of bidders, but really if it's an eBay auction, it's eligible for this list. And that's about it. Anything that's Hulk Hogan related is eligible to appear on this top 5. And at the end of the video, I will compare the number 1 in this list to the number 1 back in June to see if my hypothesis was actually correct, that Hulk Hogan items are more expensive now than they were back in June. Coming in at number 5 is this awesome ticket stub of Wrestlemania 3, signed by the man himself, Hulk Hogan, which sold at auction for $1,925. I love this item because it's two goats. It's the GOAT of professional wrestling and the GOAT of professional wrestling events. Wrestlemania 3 is the most important event in professional wrestling history. It's when Hogan slammed Andre. It was the body slam heard around the world, the largest indoor attendance record. It checked off so many boxes and was just so important to the development of Hulkamania and also to the development of the WWF into the modern product that it is today. And I also love that it's a ticket stub because you just don't see ticket stubs anymore. Everyone gets into events on their smartphones. So I think it's a sleeper category to start collecting ticket stubs. So again, this checks off so many boxes. It is authenticated by PSA. The autograph was graded a 10. Love this item for all of those reasons. Wrestlemania 3 signed ticket stub, $1,925. Coming in at number 4 is the first appearance of the most iconic wrestling card, or at least the most iconic Hulk Hogan card of all time, which is the 1982 Wrestling Allstars. That was part of a set. You bought it out of a magazine. They didn't make that many of them. It had all of the top stars from the territories. It was not a WWF card. This was just the sport of professional wrestling and all the top heels and baby faces of the time. Hulk Hogan was one of the biggest stars, but wasn't Hulkamania yet, but he was one of the biggest territory stars, so he made an appearance in the Wrestling All-Stars set. Some people call it his rookie card, but there are a few cards earlier. Maybe they'll appear in this top 5 list as well. Now, this one is signed. It is debatable whether or not the autograph will make the card more or less valuable, and then you have to consider that this is also Beckett, which is not the most desirable slab company, but it is an 8.5, which is a pretty high grade for a Wrestling All-Stars card, signed or unsigned. And for those reasons, this one sells for a really nice price, $5,050. Speaking of Hulk Hogan rookies, this is what many people consider to be his rookie. This is the 1981 Popy. I want to say Popy. It's either Popy or Popy. I think it's Popy. Viewers, write in the comments how I'm doing this wrong. I'm sure I'm pronouncing it incorrectly, but this is a PSA 9, which is a huge grade for this card, and it sold for $5,775. I'm not a huge fan of this card, I'm going to be honest. It was in an action action figure. It's not even a pack-pulled card, and it's also bland. It just doesn't really speak to me the same way that the other ones do, but, you know, it's his rookie, and it's the rookie of the GOAT, so it has a mystique about it. And this one sold at auction for $5,775. I think because the grade is so high, it's hard to get an action figure card that's going to grade that high. I don't even know if any 10s exist. Again, viewers, if you know, leave a comment. But this PSA 9 sold for almost $6,000, coming in at number 3. Number 2 is my favorite card from this list. I mean, just look at this thing. That is a beautiful piece of cardboard, and it is a 1 of 1 for the GOAT. This is a 2022 Black Prizm Championship Autograph Signature PSA 9, which sold for $7,107. I just love that he's holding the title, and I love that he's looking right at you, breaking the fourth wall. You know, he's got all his rippling muscles. He's got Hulkamania on his headband. He's snarling. It says champion at the top. This is just a really, really good looking card of a legend. I do like in the new modern shiny cards, which started in 2022 with the Panini Prizms, I do like the way they portrayed the legends, because this was the first time that the legends were no longer on these bland 1980s pieces of cardboard. They had a chance to have some real design aesthetics and some fluorescence and sparkles put to them. So I really like that for all those reasons. You know, it is part of the inaugural Prizm set. It's just a really beautiful card, and it sold at auction for $7,107. And finally, number 1, a PSA 8 of the most iconic Hulk Hogan card. This is a 1982 Wrestling All-Stars PSA 8, which sold for $8,401. This seems high to me. It just seems like a really, really great price for this card to achieve. And I'm guessing it's because of the label, because it's PSA. Because think about earlier in the list, a BGS 8.5 that also had his autograph sold for much, much less, $5,000 and change, as opposed to $8,000 and change. And I don't know if it's because of the label or if it's because it's not signed and in a high grade. Some people like pristine high grade cards when they're vintage. Viewers, if you have an opinion on that, please leave a comment. But I was surprised to see this, but it's great. It's a really great indication of the hobby to see these iconic cards really starting to fetch more bigger prices, and people really standing behind these pieces of cardboard as being important is a really good sign for the hobby. So this one did sell, like I said, $8,401, coming in at number 1, the 1982 Wrestling All-Stars PSA 8 Hulk Hogan. And as promised, we're going to compare this to what was number 1 in June. At that point, the number 1 sale was a BGS 8 autograph for $3,900. So I think we can definitively say that the market has gone up for Hulk Hogan. We don't have an exact comparison, but a PSA 8, which is of course nicer than a BGS 8, but arguably the same grade of card, is selling for twice as much, albeit it does not have the autograph on it. And then earlier in the list, remember, we did have the BGS 8.5, which is only 0.5 higher, selling for more than $1,000 more than the BGS 8 sold in June. So I think that the prices have gone up. Viewers, leave some comments, let us know what you think, but it looks like Hulk Hogan is hot. And that does it for this week. Thank you for watching as always. I hope you enjoyed this top 5. We'll come back to Hulk Hogan from time to time to see how his cards and action figures and memorabilia is selling. I thought it was interesting that 4 of the top 5 this week were all pieces of cardboard, and we did have a number of appearances of the Wrestling All-Stars, which was not a surprise, but seeing a PSA 8 in that big number, that was nice to see. Have a great week, everyone. Thank you so much for your support. This is CollectAWrestlePalooza. If you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe, but more importantly, be good to each other. We'll see you again soon.
CollectAWrestlePalooza. CollectAWrestlePalooza.